What is the United States government willing to give me to stop this clown?
An opportunity for redemption.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Peacemaker Season 2 just teased a whole lot of Superman 2, Man of Tomorrow. James Gunn has also been doing a lot of interviews talking about the movie. He's already revealed a bunch of details, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. As we see during Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 6, there's more direct setup because of the actual Nicholas Hoult Lex Luthor cameo scene in Belle Reve Prison with Rick Flag Sr. Now you see why James Gunn has been telling people the last several weeks they should be watching Peacemaker, so if you've not started, I would recommend you start right now. When the episode was released, James Gunn said that there's 3 real big teasers for the Man of Tomorrow movie in the last 3 episodes in general. This one in Episode 6 was just the first part of that. The way he explained it is that he was filming the Superman movie at the same time he was filming Peacemaker Season 2, and they were both filming right next door to each other, so it was very easy to actually cameo all the Superman actors on Peacemaker Season 2, and they even filmed a big Man of Tomorrow teaser for the end of Peacemaker in the finale on the actual Superman set, not on the Peacemaker set, so we'll actually dig into that. In his own words, he just said that he's talking about Nicholas Hoult cameoing on Peacemaker, is a big fan of the show, a big fan of Peacemaker. Everything is connected, so there's a story here that we're telling through the DCEU that is connected very much to Man of Tomorrow. But there are other elements, and part of that is a relationship between Rick Flag and Lex Luthor, and that's an important thing going forward in the DCU, in Man of Tomorrow, and so on. Basically implying that Rick Flag Sr. forms a partnership with Lex Luthor, like they're in business, Argus is in business, Rick Flag Sr. is in business with Luthor Corp and Lex Luthor, and that's going to be a very bad thing for Superman and all metahumans in general. So we talked about this arc of Rick Flag Sr. too, in addition to Lex Luthor's arc, because a lot of the interviews he's been doing, the details he's been revealing for the Man of Tomorrow movie are mostly about Lex Luthor specifically. So in the first big teaser, what he's actually talking about is that Lex Luthor has been sent to Belle Reve Prison. It's a couple months after the events of the Superman movie, which is why Lex is still using a cane because Krypto messed him up so badly. James Gunn also revealed during his Superman movie commentary that Krypto would have killed Lex Luthor had Superman not been there to actually stop him if Krypto did not listen to Superman. One of his big things with Superman is his no-kill rule. Like, that was a really important part of Superman's character to him, but not for Krypto. He said Krypto does not have the no-kill rule. He's totally fine killing people. So everybody watch out for Krypto.
Dude.
But the big idea here is that Rick Flag Sr. wants revenge against Peacemaker so badly that he's willing to give Lex Luthor a reprieve in putting him in the nicer prison with no metahumans. There's also a lot of talk about who the twink with the glowing eyes and who the dragon skin person was. Probably Killer Croc. James Gunn has not confirmed who the glowing eyes were. Lex Luthor in context did not care at all about Peacemaker or what he was doing. Like, he's a costume vigilante, he's a nobody, who cares? Also makes you wonder if Lex Luthor doesn't care about Batman because he's a costume vigilante and doesn't have meta-human abilities or anything like that. But he does get really interested, like he does perk up and think about it way harder when he tells him that Peacemaker has the key that can open up a doorway and move it around. Basically a multiverse key. Lex Luthor sounds like he wants to get his hands on that. You remember one of the key plot points during the Superman movie was Mr. Terrific criticizing Lex Luthor for his dirty science in the multiverse portals that he used to his pocket dimension being very, very dangerous, like they were about to break at any particular moment. They could destroy the Earth at any particular second. Peacemaker basically has a version of that that works perfectly, so Lex Luthor obviously would want that, like superior technology. There are a couple shots in the future trailers for Peacemaker that actually show Argus inside it trying to shut down the different portals to the other 99 universes inside the pocket dimension, so we will see what they do with his multiverse key at the end of the series. Either they destroy it, or somebody like Lex Luthor gets their hands on it. Lex Luthor gives Rick Flag Sr. a way to track Peacemaker's portal device using his technology from his old base from the Superman movie, which is in tatters basically, but the consoles, like the technology, still basically works. In exchange for moving him to a non-metahuman prison, Van Kull, which is located in Metropolis, putting him near to Superman and Clark Kent, reporter, because you remember Clark Kent Daily Planet. Part of me feels one of the reasons for this is so that we can have some scenes where you see Clark Kent interviewing Lex Luthor inside this prison, the way you see during the All-Star Superman movie, where Clark Kent is interviewing Lex Luthor in prison before he eventually gets out. Now, the events of the All-Star Superman movie are very, very different. James Gunn has described Man of Tomorrow as Lex Luthor having to be heroic, teaming up with Superman to defeat a much larger threat that Superman is not capable of defeating on his own, or even with the Justice Gang characters, or even with Supergirl's help. Most of the details in the background, the making of the first Superman movie, and deleted scenes and plots that he chose to cut out of the first Superman movie make it sound like Brainiac will be the main villain of the film. When he posted his most recent draft of the script, the picture on the cover most people took to be a Brainiac teaser because you see the human brain. He actually talked about this specifically in a more recent interview, saying, "Listen, of course I wasn't unaware of that when I posted the cover of the script, that there was going to be discussion around that particular topic, the fact that Brainiac would be the main villain." But then he goes on to say, "I think we'll hold off on what exactly is happening." So he was basically saying, I'm not going to answer that question. And you remember that most of the time, he's pretty regular about shutting down false rumors. So when he doesn't answer a question, it means it's probably true. He actually said early on Brainiac was going to be the main villain of the first movie, so it just sounds like he was saving him for the second movie. So as they continue in Lex Luthor's cameo scene here, the idea is that Rick Flag Sr. tells Lex Luthor that he's giving him a chance at redemption, which I think in the case is teaming up with Superman to defeat Brainiac. There have been a lot of people that also said this is the path to him running for president in a President Lex arc in the DCEU. It's totally possible they do that because everybody hates Lex Luthor right now. There was another interview that he just did about Lex Luthor's character during Man of Tomorrow and why he found him so fascinating, why he was making him such a main character during the next Superman movie. He actually said he wanted to get to the heart of Lex, getting to know him more as a human being as opposed to just the evil part that he focused on in the first Superman movie. Like, they wanted you to hate Lex Luthor in the first Superman movie, but the reason why he finds him so interesting as a character, as opposed to say like Superman or Green Lantern or the other characters, like the metahuman characters, despite everything Lex has done, there's something incredibly heroic that he finds about Lex. And the example that he makes is that Lex, looking at Superman with all of his god-tier abilities, the things that he can do, and still 100% thinking that Lex himself is going to beat him and genuinely believes that he's a better person, better just in general than Superman. And James Gunn just admires the tenacity, his towering ego, his sheer ambition. And at the end of the day, he actually said that he views Lex as the underdog of the Superman story, and the first Superman movie is as much Lex's story as it is Superman's story, like it's the birth of his supervillainy. So this is also one of the big reasons why Man of Tomorrow is a reference to Lex, like Lex is the Man of Tomorrow, in addition to Superman being the Man of Tomorrow.
Despite everything, that is incredibly heroic about Lex. Take aside, like, morality.
Moving on to the second big Man of Tomorrow teaser during Peacemaker Season 2, it looks like in Episode 7 there's a Sidney Happerson cameo scene, and they're using Lex Luthor's technology from the first movie that he used to control his pocket dimension. They got the wreckage of that Luthor Corp base that he had during the movie. There might be some other minor cameos from other people that work for his company in the background. He's actually played by Stephen Blackheart, who's a longtime friend of James Gunn in real life, but he also said that his character specifically, like in the context of the Superman lore in the DCU, that character was actually Lex's professor when he was getting his PhD. So when Lex started his company, Luthor Corp, he hired him because that character, Sidney Happerson, was on the cutting edge of portal multiverse technology, and Lex wanted to develop that. So that's why he brought him into Luthor Corp, and why he's having him help Rick Flag Sr. operate the technology in Episode 7. There are a lot of extra details from the Superman movie you actually learn from his commentary, so definitely worthwhile to listen to the commentary if you haven't actually seen the movie yet. Then the third big Man of Tomorrow teaser that he talked about was during the actual Peacemaker finale. Like I said, they filmed the scene on the Superman sets, not on the Peacemaker sets, so it's much more of a Superman-related type of scene. My assumption is that it's either a Clark Kent and Lex Luthor scene, like he's not in his Superman suit, because he actually just did a recent interview claiming that Superman does not show up during Peacemaker Season 2, but that doesn't mean that Clark Kent doesn't show up. He might just be using tricky lawyer speak, trying to talk around revealing something big. Or it might just be another scene with Lex Luthor and Rick Flag Sr. Maybe they tease his Lexo suit, Brainiac, some of the events of the movie. Something that teases the events of the movie more directly in a Marvel-style post-credit scene type of moment where it's like, hey, wink, 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 this is exactly meant to be on-the-nose Man of Tomorrow teaser stuff. When it actually comes to the partnership between Rick Flag Sr. and Lex Luthor and it being bad for Superman, all metahumans, the idea James Gunn was trying to get to is them slowly pushing Rick Flag Sr. on more of an antagonistic type of arc where he starts in Creature Commandos and you meet him for the first time and he's actually a friend to metahumans. Like he seems like he has a good relationship with the Creature Commandos team at Argus. During the Superman commentary, he talks about how he gets more reticent and more antagonistic against metahumans and Superman, just in general, like the Justice Gang, because of what happens with the conflict in Jaran Pur.
And now it seems they're taking over the world.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, the Justice Gang and Superman determining international politics.
James Gunn said then by the time we get to the events of Peacemaker Season 2, he views Rick Flag Sr., James Gunn views him as more of an antagonist, more of a villain of that season. So it just sounds like if he's forming a partnership with Lex Luthor, like they're in business, working together now, there's a relationship forming between the two of them on a working level. He's just pushing Rick Flag Sr. in more of an antagonistic, darker direction in general in the DCU. During the Superman commentary, he also confirmed that the Engineer would return in Man of Tomorrow. There might be a little follow-up on the Jor-El message, but Superman himself, according to James Gunn, has already dealt with it on an emotional level and resolved that internally. But it's not the end of Jor-El and Krypton in general, just in the future of the DCU. We have General Zod. There are other Kryptonian characters that they can bring back in the future in different ways. Based on the way that he's been talking about it, James Gunn is positioning the Green Lantern HBO show as like a much bigger push into deeper mythology, way more serious push on TV. I will be doing episode videos for that when it does release. That's going to be a way more serious, way darker type of show than Peacemaker, which is just way, way goofier in general. James Gunn also did a lot of talk about the brand new version of Batman in Brave and the Bold, Damian Wayne, so I might do a separate video about that at some point too, but that's a completely separate, like that has nothing to do with the Peacemaker cameo scene with Lex or the Man of Tomorrow movie or anything like that. If you've not been watching Peacemaker, now is the time to start. Right now, my full episode 7 video will post next week right after they release it. Everybody click here for that. I'll update the link as soon as I post it. And click here for my Peacemaker Season 2 episode 6 video with that big Lex Luthor cameo scene. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.